Good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you are in the world. You're tuned into Crypto Banter, the world's only crypto calling station, bringing you live trading advice from crypto enthusiasts from around the world. Today on our show, we look at the Bitcoin price. We look at the Bitcoin charts. Bitcoin seems to be sitting on a ledge, and as most analysts are calling a correction, we'll show you one main indicator that shows that an upside breakout is imminent. We're calling 21,000 by the end of the weekend. And even though an upside breakout may be imminent, we think that DeFi is the place to be, with Cream, Keep, and others running over 100% this week. But which coins in the DeFi space are going to run up next? One analyst says that it's time to buy Chainlink. Let's see if we agree with him. We're going to bring on Coach K again. He says that it's time to buy Chainlink. And of course, the big news of the day today is that S&P and Dow Jones are going to be launching crypto indices in 2021. So if you think that crypto adoption is slow to happen or not happening, stay tight, hold on tight, because we think that 2021 is going to be a huge year for crypto uptake. It's all happening. For those of you that have been here since 2017, it's all finally happening. Can't wait for 2021. But first, let's start today's show.
Crypto Banter is the world's first interactive social cast for the crypto community. Get the latest news, views, interviews, and live conversations with crypto enthusiasts from around the world. This is where you call in, you make the show, and you bring the banter. That's CryptoBanter.com, where you talk crypto.
Yep, that's right. You are watching CryptoBanter.com, and this is a station where you talk crypto. You call in, you bring the news, you bring the banter. Now, just a reminder to our subscribers, we love you guys. We need you guys to help us grow the station. And the only way to do that is to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Because when you do that, what it actually does is it gets the YouTube algorithm to bring in other community members, and it circulates the episode. Also, remember, this is a call-in show. This is the place where you call in and you bring the banter. If you want to call in, you can call in on WhatsApp. You can call in at Crypto Banter. But the best way to call in is to just click the link at the bottom of the YouTube chat. It's a StreamYard link, and it brings you straight into the studio. Without further ado, let's take a look at the big news today. And of course, the big news today is the fact that the Bitcoin price is sitting on a ledge and waiting for a breakout. And whereas most analysts are turning around and saying that there may be a correction or a breakdown, we're saying that there's one big indicator that's going to take Bitcoin out through a breakout to over 21,000. And when is this going to happen? We think it's going to happen as soon as this weekend. So what is that big indicator? What is the indicator that tells us that Bitcoin is going to break out? All this and more on the show today. But first up, I'm going to bring in Smart Contractor to talk about the markets with me. Smart Contractor, welcome to Crypto Banter.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Smart Contractor, are you one of these people that's calling a Bitcoin correction, or are you calling an upside breakout?
Look, it's a tricky question because I am expecting a major breakout to happen this year, but the only thing I think that's holding the price from breaking out now is over-leveraged retail traders. I think they're leveraging up high into this 20K zone, and that's what's causing this sort of quick drop. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit more ranging here over the next couple of days. Maybe one more quick spike down to 17,500, but I do agree that within the next week or two, we're going to be sitting at around 22,000 or higher.
See, for me, there's really one big indicator which tells me that retail is not fully in. Other than the fact that, my friends are just starting to call me now and say, hey, want to get back into Bitcoin? Should I be buying Ethereum? Which is very different from 2017. In 2017, by this time, by 20,000, everybody was in. And, parents were in and grandparents were in. But this is different, because now I find that these people are just dipping their feet into the water. And today I came across one big indicator, probably the most reliable indicator in the whole world, that Bitcoin hasn't even started. And I'm going to let our viewers know what that indicator is in just a couple of minutes. If you want to know what that indicator is, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we need to get circulation of this video. The more circulation we get, the more people watch the show. Also, I encourage you guys to call in. Smart Contractor, you're going to take us through some charts. What charts are we looking at here?
So basically, for the last week or so, I've been personally focusing on what I like to call the DeFi majors. Now, they're the four that I'm focusing on at the moment is Sushi, SNX, AAVE, and Uni. Obviously, there's others in there that like Wi-Fi and whatnot, but I've singled these four out because they've basically got the same structural charts against the Bitcoin pair, where we can see they've broken their downtrend since.
That's amazing. And the reason why I say it's amazing is because even though we are calling an upside breakout for Bitcoin, for me, DeFi is the place to be. I've been watching the coins. I've been watching Keep. I've been watching Cream. I've been watching AAVE. I've been watching Sushi. And these guys have had a much bigger run than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So whereas everyone's focusing on Bitcoin and Ethereum, it looks like the action is actually sitting here.
Yeah, it's still quite niche. I mean, I think it's only starting to get mainstream adoption now. Like the general sentiment, you know, that I gain, that I can gather from people that I've followed since 2017 and whatnot, is they're still hung up trading like the old guard of altcoins, like the Litecoins, the Eths, the Bcash, like Tezos, like what I consider dead chains. Like I just think when it comes to altcoins, like I honestly feel those coins are dead. Like not dead as in they're not going to go up, but dead as in they're just going to be. They're not exciting. They're going to be risen with the tide, but they're not going to outperform.
So let me tell you how I feel about this. I'm holding a lot of those coins, and I kind of feel attached to them. I mean, I was up until a few days ago, I was holding things like Tezos. I was holding EOS. I was holding a few of the Wax protocol or Wax token. And I kind of feel like I'm in an abusive relationship with these tokens because I'm waiting for them to go up so that I can exit. But at the same time, I'm missing so many other opportunities. So it's like an abusive relationship, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that's the beauty of alts as well. You know, like the newer ones tend to move the hardest because they've got less bag holders. They're newer. They've got newer communities. And what I find interesting about this is DeFi is basically one of those things that's got a real world use case. Like, for instance, AAVE is something that I've grown to like a lot over the last few months because I've actually used the platform. Like I've sent crypto as collateral and borrowed USD to yield farm with, and like the more I've used the platform, the more I've come to realize that this is something I can stand behind. Like I've actually used it. It's a good product, and they're the things that I feel that I can back with more conviction.
Let's go back to 2017 when we spoke about these protocols that you said are the dead protocols, and I kind of agree with you. They may be base layer protocols, but they're not as exciting. But the biggest criticism that we had for crypto then was that crypto wasn't a yield generating asset. And protocols like Celsius, AAVE, and a whole lot of others have completely solved that problem. And this DeFi layer is actually one of the most fundamental building blocks in building the new financial system. And I must agree with you. I've used AAVE, and AAVE is amazing. The usability is amazing. What you can do by pledging your crypto or giving your crypto as collateral and borrowing against it so that you can yield farm is absolutely amazing. And it's an absolute building block. But let's go to the charts. What are the charts showing you?
Look, one of the key things for me is so I've chose, like I said before, I chose these four specifically because I consider them to be in the higher quality tier of DeFi projects, and B, they all structurally look the same. The key thing for me, like let's say for these two, SNX and AAVE, is they've clearly broken the downtrend from the 20th of August. They've come up. They've already printed a higher a low, and now they're heading up again. So I basically, it comes down to the fact that I think an uptrend has started in them. They've broken key downtrend levels, and they're printing higher lows. So I know it feels counterintuitive to be bullish on alts when Bitcoin is breaking such a major resistance, but you know, the charts for these particular ones anyway are telling me that they're going to outperform Bitcoin.
Well, there's two things to talk about there. I mean, one is that you're charting these things against Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin's had a hell of a run. So if these coins are breaking their pattern against Bitcoin, you know that something serious is happening in the DeFi space. And I've been watching the DeFi space.
Well, I mean, I can pop up. So this, let's say AAVE, for instance, this is the Bitcoin pair, but I can pop up the USD pair.
Yeah, let's have a look at that. While you're pulling it up, I just want to remind our viewers that you can post comments first in the YouTube chat. We'll get to all the comments. You can ask us questions. And of course, you can even join the show. You can join the studio. You can come in and ask Smart Contractor a whole lot of questions about DeFi. And if you've got coins in your portfolio, tell us what they are, and we may even tell you what you should do with them.
So a lot of people don't realize that AAVE is one of those projects that has been around since 2017. That was its peak. It peaked in January 2018. It survived the 2018 bear market and has gone on to actually make an all-time high. Now, if you look at this chart, now obviously I think this is more bullish than Bitcoin because I'm charting it against Bitcoin, but I've already made an all-time high a couple of days ago. Like it's just coming down and retesting. Retesting that breakout. I think it's going to fly. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching AAVE. I'm actually I'm a bag holder of it. And I mean, this thing just keeps going up and up and up. I'm not sure what the latest price is. I think I saw it close to 80 cents earlier.
$89.95 at the moment.
$89.95, yeah, after the split, yeah, of course. Yeah. All right, so AAVE is one of the ones that we're looking at. Take me to Sushi, and I'll tell you why. We had Altcoin Psycho on the show yesterday, and he said that he is uber bullish on Sushi. So much so that he convinced me so much that I went home, I sold my Neo, I sold my Tezos, I sold my EOS, and I went huge into Sushi. But I went in at about 2:30, and I woke up this morning, it was at about 2:12 or 2:13. Help me. Tell me what's happening next.
Like I think he's right on Sushi because I'm bullish on that as well. I think they're great. So at first they started off as like the vampire attack clone of Uniswap, but since then they're building, they're doing different things. They're breaking away from just being an AMM. They've announced things like lending similar to AAVE, options. So they're branching out and they're trying to differentiate themselves. Not only that, you know, Jörn and Andre came out not long ago and basically said that they're partnering, and Andre is going to be building his new Dairy Swap project on top of Sushi. And yes, I think Sushi, basically now the market is repricing Sushi to be valued higher.
And it seems like Sushi has a hell of a community. I mean, I think, you know, if we look at the history of Sushi, it was a vampire attack on the Uniswap protocol. And I mean, what they did was they just issued Sushi tokens for liquidity on their protocol before Uniswap did it. And it was just a fork of the Uniswap protocol. But after the whole saga of Chef leaving and taking the coins and returning the coins and everything else, it does seem like they're back in action and they've got that momentum again. If you look at the chart, you can kind of see where they bottomed and then got the momentum back up again.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to try and pop the USD pair up.
While you're popping the USD pair up, guys, I want to remind you that the only way we get circulation for the show is if you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You guys are the best community in the whole wide world. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's grow this channel. Let's grow the viewership. Let's get more of you guys on the show showing us what charts you guys are doing, because I guess that's where all the information comes from. All right, yeah. So this is the USD chart, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Sushi was one of the DeFi projects that bottomed first. Just having a quick glance, 4th of November. So that bottomed well before the other major DeFi ones did. So yeah, so the signs were there, that the tides were turning for Sushi, and that they'd moved on towards a different sort of branding.
Do you ever look at their total value of assets or total liquidity? Do you ever look at the fundamentals?
Yes, yeah. Like I mean, for me, that's part of the reason why I'm bullish on sushi because let's say, for instance, sushi's got a market cap of 265 million, whereas uni, it's daddy or whatever what it broke away from has a market cap of 840 million. But it's total value locked. So uni's got a total value locked of about I think for memory it's about 30% more. Or so here it's saying 1.352 million down the bottom there. So I'll just quickly pop up sushi, whereas at the moment total value locked 900. So its total value locked for sushi is not that much lower than uni, yet it's significantly underpriced. It's about a quarter of what uni's market cap is, or maybe a third or something. I'm not too good with maths, but yeah, I think the market is repricing sushi higher, which is why we're seeing this move up.
Now, when you look at these charts, do you call like an upside target? So when I look at sushi today, I'm looking on my screen now, it's trading at $2.13. Where is this thing going? I mean, at what point would you look to take profits, or would you say that your trade has achieved what it needed to achieve?
I mean, so I use a mix between Elliott wave, support and resistance, market structure. So obviously for me, looking at this chart, I mean, it's kind of had a big dump, but for me, looking at this chart, the first place I'd be looking to take profit is around $3.18, which is kind of the top of that that resistance for me. So at current levels, that's about 50% higher. But then if you look on the fundamental side, and believe that we should be trading at near what sushi is, especially with these new fundamental catalysts like lending and the Yearn partnership, you know, it could be priced, you know, 3 to 4x higher. So obviously I will take some profit there just to bank some profits, because I'm in from much lower, but I do think we have potential to be hitting the $7, $8, $9 marks as well.
So both of you, Altcoin Psycho and yourself, now calling sushi to $7 or $8. You know, I want to talk about, you mentioned this Bitcoin run, and it seems counterintuitive to be going into DeFi when Bitcoin's about to run. But don't you think that people who bought in 2017 have now broken even, have now made some money, and now they're going to start taking this money and investing it into altcoins? And that this year, instead of having an altcoin season, we'll just land up having a DeFi season.
I do think to an extent we are going to have an alt season where I think a lot of profits will get rolled from Bitcoin into alts. You know, a rising tide is going to lift a lot of these boats, but I do wholeheartedly agree that DeFi is the new flavor of the month. It's got a much better use case than a lot of these other alts do, and it is going to outperform as a sector more than every other alt. Like I genuinely believe that. Yeah.
Alrighty, amazing. So we've got AAVE, we've got sushi. You're calling both of them up. What's your price target for AAVE before we move to the next chart?
I mean, like, looks like it's having a pop up now just as we're talking. I think it's about to break out, and I honestly think, you know, my absolute first target for AAVE is going to be like 150, 160, which is
double.
Good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good 78% higher. That's where I said I was going to take profit. I've been long up for a few weeks now, so that was my strategy. But I will be leaving a moonshot bag for much higher prices as well.
All right, guys, if you want to chat to Smart Contractor, if you want to give us your feedback about AAVE or sushi or any other of the DeFi protocols, you can call into the show. The StreamYard link is at the bottom of the YouTube chat. It's also on my Twitter feed. Come on, join the show. Come banter. Come talk crypto with us. All righty, so we've got AAVE. We've got sushi. What else in the DeFi space?
SNX is a good one. AAVE, SNX, Wi-Fi, Uniswap.
Let's talk about Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is around $30,000 now. If I remember, if I checked just before the show, we looked at about $30,000. What's your upside target there?
Let me just pop it up real quick. I'm sorry, my computer's just lagging.
No problem. Again, while we're waiting for the chart to pop up, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Come on, guys. Let's get those numbers up. Let's get more people watching the show so we can bring you more content.
So the interesting thing about Wi-Fi is it's breaking key downtrends right now as we speak. So today it just closed over that horizontal resistance at 30K. So I think if we can close this next daily candle above 30K, if this next daily candle closes above 30K, I would be expecting a run back up to all-time highs at 44K.
And just for clarity, when you say close, what time would that close be? What time should we look to see if it's closed over that 30,000 level?
Yes, a daily candle close. I mainly trade off 4 hour and above. But yeah, for the purpose of this, I'd be looking at a daily candle close.
And then you're calling all-time highs to around 45, or I think the all-time high was about 48,000 on YFI, right?
Yeah. I mean, I expected to have some kind of resistance there, but to be honest, like if it gets up to all-time highs, I'd be expecting higher than that as well.
Wow. Okay, you're talking about a $3 billion market cap if that happens. Alrighty, let's go. 2 more coins. Give me two more of your favorite DeFi coins. I also do want to ask you about your upside target for Bitcoin, but let's leave that for the end. 2 more of your favorite DeFi coins.
See, I categorize them in different baskets for different amounts of capital. Like, for my larger trades and my bigger bets, I tend to gravitate more towards the larger caps and the safer plays. But there's a few smaller caps, things that I think are doing really good work, like Cover, which has got
Cover.
Yeah, Cover had a nice little pump today because Andre came out and is trying to spread awareness for it. It's basically a Nexus Mutual, a DeFi. It's basically like insurance.
It's a DeFi insurance protocol. In fact, a few weeks ago, we had the guys from Pickle on our program, and that was just before they got hacked. And a lot of the Pickle holders were actually covered by the Cover token. And I think some of them actually got some of the money back.
Yeah. Well, see, that was I actually tweeted about that a few weeks ago, whereas I think that kind of solidified the legitimacy for Cover, whereas Nexus Mutual hasn't had any major claims yet. They haven't paid out any major claims, whereas this was the first sort of big hack everyone was talking about. Everyone wanted to know, was Cover going to pay out? And they came through with the goods. So I think that brings a good use case to the DeFi insurance space as a whole as well.
Yeah, because I think the DeFi space is a little bit of a scary place. I mean, you're playing with MetaMask, you're integrating your wallet into these smart contracts. We have had a few hacks, we have had a few vulnerabilities, but that's of course how the space matures. It's actually all quite healthy for the space, and
exactly.
I'm glad to see that people like Cover are doing their work. All right, so what are we looking at now?
Well, this is the Cover chart. So basically, on stuff like this, it's hard to do TA. I don't really even attempt because it's too new. It doesn't have enough data, but you can see it's looking pretty good right now. The main thing for me, is just the fact that its market cap's fairly low. Its biggest competitor, Nexus Mutual, is like $100 million market cap at the moment, whereas Cover's only about 23. It's got the big backers. It's got a good team. It's got some big people in the space backing it. So I think your chances of getting a couple multiples out of this are going to be a lot easier to do if it's successful than things like AAVE, which is already at $1 billion market cap, whereas this is 23 mil. This is something I'd be more inclined to put a smaller amount of money in and have a larger target.
Yeah, I must say, I think I'd go a little bit heavier into Cover. And I think just because what they're doing is so necessary in the space. And like you say, they have had a small test and they've passed the first test. And that really, I mean, whereas they probably did have to pay out a lot, it did give them a whole lot in PR and actually give them gave people the confidence that they're going to be around for a while and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Alrighty, one last coin. We've got time for one last coin before we bring on another surprise guest. Very excited to have Crypto Burb joining us in a bit with a whole lot of charts. But one more chart from you, smart contractor.
One chart. What do you want?
Okay, let's talk about Bitcoin, because a lot of people are calling a down move. I've got one indicator here which tells me that Bitcoin is going to pump.
It's looking pretty good. I got to admit, it's looking pretty good on the floor. I mean, for the purpose of this, I've been looking at the monthly. Like the monthly closed $6,000 monthly candle. It's like one of the largest monthly candle closes in Bitcoin's history. I consider resistance to be candle body close. So for me, that is about 14K, and I consider us closing well above that. So I don't think this 20K resistance is going to be much resistance at all. Obviously, this is a monthly time frame, so we can have some sort of shenanigans, for the next 3 weeks or whatever. But at the moment, I'm gonna agree with you. It's looking pretty good, and it's looking like a breakout is could happen tonight.
I think the breakout is going to happen. I think it's going to happen before the end of the weekend. I think we're going to hit about 21,000, and I'll tell you why. I think that anyone that wanted to sell has sold. Anyone that hadn't broken even or just broken even has sold. And there is huge demand coming up. We heard today that there's going to be crypto indices from S&P and from Dow Jones next year in 2021. And that all bodes very well for Bitcoin. All right, Smart Contractor, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on our show. Time for us to move on to tell our viewers why we think that Bitcoin is going to pump this weekend. Smart Contractor, great to have you. Thank you very much for being on Crypto Banter. All righty, guys. So just before we move on to our next segment with Crypto Burb, I want to remind you guys that the only way that people hear about our show is if you smash the like button. So please, guys, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell so that you know when our videos come out. We are live every day at 10 EST, and with your help, we're going to build this into a station that gives you live 24/7, 365 crypto content from around the world. We can only do it if you hit the like button. If you join us on the show. You can call in. The StreamYard link is in the YouTube. I want to talk to you about the Bitcoin price, because everyone says that there's going to be a correction. If I watched all the YouTube videos this morning, I watched all the chartists, and they're all calling this Bitcoin correction, but I don't think so. Because when I looked at the chart today, and I got one major indicator that Bitcoin is going to go above $20,000 this weekend. And if you want to know what the indicator is, it's a very simple indicator. It's the CNBC indicator. Now, most of you know that I used to host, or I host the only televised crypto show in the world on CNBC Africa. It's called Crypto Trader. But CNBC is saying, don't get caught up in the hype as Bitcoin hovers around 19,000. And if CNBC is still telling you not to buy Bitcoin, we've got a long way to go before we hit a top. So with that, I'm going to bring in Crypto Burb. Crypto Burb, welcome to the show. What do you think of my thesis that Bitcoin is going to have a run this weekend?
Hey guys. Well, I'm very happy to be here in the show. Regarding Bitcoin, I think there's already been said with how bullish it's been, the past days and the past months. It is out of question, and I was actually very lucky, 1 year ago, to be in the Las Vegas stage on World Crypto Conference when I was actually calling for all-time highs, where Bitcoin was actually trading like around, as far as I can recall, $7,000 or $8,000. So it is all being realized. Some people would tell technical analysis doesn't work. I would tell that technical analysis did let me predict what was happening actually until now. So if we talk strictly about Bitcoin itself, I do think the all-time high is imminent. I do think that this is extremely tricky and twisty kind of like zone that we are in right now. We are testing the biggest level in Bitcoin's history currently, right? This is massive psychological resistance coming from the fact that this is a round number. So any round number like 10,000, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on and so forth is always going to be a massive resistance, and people just naturally fear that, right? So we could expect some at least consolidation, because when there's a strong, pressure, from the like in the upside direction from the buyers, right? And then you meet this strong resistance. It's kind of like squeezed, right? The levels are kind of like squeezed, and this brings us into the sideways. The market actually, in the very short term, meaning just loses the momentum for a second, which we have seen with the recent drops. So this is all whales kind of like realizing big money, right? Realizing big profits after getting early in the position. So we definitely want to stay cautious, because this is a very volatile zone, right? And volatile zone means big risk, which means big chances of losing. and so on and so forth, right? So while we expect all-time highs to come in, just simply like I said 1 year ago, more than that. I'd still stay very cautious, at least until we close the week, which is the final confirmation from the technical point of view, to kind of like summarize the entire squeeze action, right? And then prove it that we are strong enough as a market, right, to rally in further. But just this must not be ever sort of like forgotten, right, or diminished, that we have not really seen any sort of like a bigger correction. Apart from this 50% one, 15%. And Bitcoin does offer 30-40% corrections too.
In the beginning of the year, in March, 23rd of March, we had a 50% correction. I think we went from about 10 to about 5 or 9,500 to just 5. That was the first correction. And we were kind of in a bull market there. Now, you know, we've been around for a long time. We know that anything that isn't over 30% doesn't really count as a correction in Bitcoin speak, right?
Yes and no. I mean, you know, for any sort of like major reversal, should I say, major like a correction, you know, the technical analysts, the market technicians would tell you that there needs to be like minimum 20% downside, right? So this March dump itself was a big shakeout that was not only typical to Bitcoin, but it was actually very popular and common to all the markets, you know, across the globe. So it was not really the big for Bitcoin thing. It was actually the lack of liquidity thing, mainly coming also from, you know, from of course this COVID pandemic stuff, right? The very first industry that got suffered, you know, from that was of course the transportation. So I was there's actually people can dig the tweet from me back in February, right before the biggest crash, you know, S&P 500 and all the Dow Jones Industrial Average, like transportational average and so on, and utilities. Then there was this massive violation against the trend continuation, right? Which was that the averages didn't confirm themselves. So we had this big bearish divergence between the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the transportational average, right? Which actually was a very clear signal that I could read fine for the upcoming recession, right? We are in the recession, in my opinion, although the charts in the paper, they do look good. You know, we keep printing new all-time highs and everything. It seems to be okay.
Every market in the world at an all-time high. Gold almost at an all-time high. Dow Jones at an all-time high. Nasdaq at an all-time high. Where is this recession? I mean, I'm looking around. I don't see recession.
Exactly, right?
Exactly. Every market at an all-time high.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
And
I want to look
that's
at the chart.
the issue.
I want to look at the charts because talk is cheap. Charts tell the story. So let's look at the charts. Tell me what your charts are saying. I almost feel like I'm at a doctor and he's going to throw the bones. You know, like I need to know what the charts are saying. I'm going to bring in your screen. Let's share your screen. What are we looking at here?
I'm actually right now looking at the Bitcoin chart on the weekly time frame, right? Where every session is counted as a 1 week. And down below, there is in the downside panel, there's bear indicator. It's free indicator on TradingView. And that is of my own kind of like brand, coming from my own brand. But at the same time, it is a combination of momentum stochastics and Ichimoku, right? Which includes sort of like this data combination.
Momentum, stochastics, and Ichimoku. Okay, cool. Got it.
I mean, stochastic is the momentum indicator, right? So it actually just, as an oscillator, it just shows you when the market is overbought or oversold, right? So where you could expect some, at least taking profit, you know, distribution, or like in the overbought, or when it's in the oversold, it's usually a good buy, right? So when this big dump was coming, right, here in March, you know, this was of course like a big surprise. This is something that we call a black swan. So you couldn't, unless you were the one dumping.
You couldn't chart that. The chart didn't give you that.
Yeah, I mean, so this was the, like, again, it's impossible to predict with any sort of like, you know, analysis on the market to what a specific whale is going to do when they meet, you know, some random, you know, decision to be made, right? So then you had the lack of liquidity, like this kind of like a timing, and unless you are the whale who's dumping, then kind of like everybody is surprised with that, right? So the market suffered from some period of a shock, right? And then you actually had this very nice, something that we call a V-shaped type of reversal, right? V-shaped recovery. So this was a very sharp decline and a very, very strong just pump right above the MA200, right? So simple moving average I'm a big fan of simplicity of using simple moving average against exponentially weighted moving average. Now for crypto, because of its volatility, right? EMA actually can get you very misleading information because it often assigns bigger import. I mean, it always assigns the most recent data with the most biggest significance, right? So whenever there is a full of traps, on the market, it would actually assign bigger important traps rather than the real pricing and value. So SMA is kind of like non-vulnerable against that. And then you had this massive just trend that continues since the actual very conception of Bitcoin, right? Since 2008, we've been seeing this MA200 just as the main leading indicator for the main narrative behind it, right? So I will never technically be bearish for long term for Bitcoin unless we start declining a pair, MA200. Until then, we are bullish as crazy, right?
I mean,
and
we're
anything
miles
between.
we're miles away from the 200-day moving average. I mean, we're miles away from that at the moment.
Yeah. So this again, like being away from from the averages is sign of a deviation, or should I say, like this local overbought zone, right? But it doesn't mean it needs to like drop right away. Instead, it means that that we need to stay cautious and look for resistances because the trend is definitely up. With the very strong upside decline. I remember perfectly, by the way, this moment of the breakout, right? I was super excited about this breakout over here. For when Bitcoin started actually to go sideways, right? And I can remember exactly how bearish people were back then. I'm not sure if you remember, Ron, but the fear and greed. Yeah, the fear and greed index was pointing like some extreme greed, extreme fear. So people were literally disbelieving that. So I perfectly knew that this was something that we call the disbelief, and this belief is exactly what starts a big, massive upside rally, right? So this is a definitely big stuff. We are unquestionably in the strongest bull market, in my opinion, ever, right? Although the cycles seem to be slowing down over the longer period because of the regulations, because of the bigger market capitalization.
That's a big statement. When you say we're in the biggest bull market ever, and I'll remind you why. The last bull market took us 20x, right? If you remember 2017 bull market, we started the year at about $1,000. And then we ended the year, we reached a high of just under $20,000. That was a 20x bull run.
Yeah.
If you say we're in the biggest bull run ever, are you saying what I think you're saying? Which is that we can break hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So what I'm talking about, well, I would be very cautious regarding some crazy pricing like 1 million per coin and everything, right? Now we all know that the market is extremely irrational and it's very inefficient by its nature. But I'm not sure anybody would be ever just kind of like with the average payments and everything, average salary in the country, people would be able to actually purchase a bigger amount of Bitcoin, right? So of course the scarcity will increase over the time because of its nature, because of its deflationary model and everything. But at the same time, I would be like, I consider Bitcoin not as a sort of like a religion, right? I consider that from the investor's point of view. So I prefer way more to sort of like bring realistic targets and bring realistic numbers on the table, and just realize profits when there is a decent profit.
What is your target? Give me a target.
Yeah. So it's actually very simple, right? So you would have the psychological numbers, right? Such as the round numbers. So you would have for sure, first is 20K. Right now we are here right now almost. Then you would have 30,000. Then you would have 40, right, and so on and so forth. So it would be moving along with the like this 10 numbers, right? Now the tens by the tens. As long as we, of course, just close and validate unquestionably this massive breakout above, just 20K, right? So when this is pushed through, right, and we see some actual confirmation that is not really like massive liquidation run and just ways realizing the massive profits and trapping people. If we get the positive bullish, breakout retesting here that holds this entire downside pressure, then I'm quite certain we would go very soon to 25, 30, 40. I would be placing special attention to 45 and 46 target, okay, because this is the Fibonacci based, also
45
retracement.
and 46. I mean,
Extension.
these are huge numbers for Bitcoin. Burb, the lines are going crazy. The chats are going crazy. Burb, you rock. Burb, I want to give you a hug. You've obviously got a very, very strong community. I want to talk about Ethereum because we've spoken about Bitcoin. Let's talk about Ethereum. The reason why I want to talk about Ethereum is because I think that in the short term, Ethereum may have more upside than Bitcoin. I love both my kids equally. I appreciate that Bitcoin is the big daddy, but no one's talking as much about Ethereum. Ethereum has possibly the smartest intellectual capital building on it. It has a whole lot of venture capital money flowing into it. The whole of DeFi, which to me is the place to be right now, is being built on the top of Ethereum. Tell me, what do the charts say?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of truth in what you said, Rand. And importantly, I think what's different about Bitcoin and Ethereum regarding, the charts regarding the price action is the market cycle phase. And this is unquestionable that we are at the all-time highs, right? So Bitcoin, if we were to compare like Ethereum and Bitcoin would be hovering around here, right? Or the all-time highs area. But in fact, we are with the Ethereum, we're far away from the actual highs of 2017, right, and 18. So this just tells me that we are still very early, right? And I was calling, this very breakout here with there were massive tweets publicly and just given to me when I was actually talking about 220 and then 650, which is actually almost realized already, right? There is 650. There is a massive resistance per the very recent, the most recent rejection, right? In here, the later accelerated the entire downside rally, then to move it to accumulation that lasted more than 2 years. But then, so we have this kind of like a full round, almost, just kind of like a structure formation, if you will, right? So I could expect here, in this area to start some bigger volatility, just for the profits realization, I guess. But the overall resistance, when the market just looks
80, is it 850? The real resistance, because 650 is pretty much in the bag. So I guess the next level of resistance is 800, 850.
Yeah, I do think so. There's of course going to be some minor one like this, 700, again, round numbers, right? So 720 should be some resistance. But when the patterns, when the market actually rallies, it tends to rally to complete some similar highs, right? So we would expect this to be the main resistance and supply. And again, this week before the drop, actually, this upside, candle shadow, show this supply in here, right? So we could expect the cluster of resistances on the, just smaller time frame, in which you could expect people to realize the profits, and at the same time, the strong rejection and the actual, when the week opened, it downside rally, actually declined for the entire week. So again, very strong level area for the resistances. I will not be brave enough to long it unless, again, breakout retest holds through, right?
Okay.
And then
I want to ask you a question.
And then
the $1 million question. Are you tempted to sell some of your Bitcoin and move them into Ethereum? I mean, would you do that? Would you have the guts? Because you're drawing charts here that show that Ethereum in the short term has a more upside than Bitcoin, obviously with more risk. I mean, would you consider taking some of your Bitcoin, cashing them into Ethereum, and then buying back later? Or do you think that would be a big mistake?
Well, I'm the type of portfolio, just let's say manager for my own funds, right? My trading strategy is combination of medium term swings to long time frame, kind of like just pack, right? So I would trade majorly like the medium term swings at the last, between 3 weeks and 3 months, and at the same time keep some allocation, in the long term investment that I'm not really, just fond of touching for some time at least, right? So even though I'm definitely long, still not long, just bullish on Bitcoin, I'm currently a bit tethered with my low short-term portfolio, right? So until we reclaim the all-time highs, we stay with the Bitcoin, in these fake out kind of like a, just a scenario, right? And until the highs are reclaimed, this is all kind of like very dangerous, very vulnerable, right? So I choose my short-term portfolio to wait it out with the tether, and waiting out also is a sort of like a position. Not making a mistake is actually better than making a mistake.
Yeah, sometimes the best position is no position.
Exactly.
I want to ask you one more thing. We've looked at Bitcoin, we've looked at Ethereum. I want you to give me one other coin that really, really excites you. I know you must have one. The chat's going crazy here. I guess you've got a big fan base. And just a big shout out to the fan base. Thank you for coming on the show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, please, guys. That's the only way that this gets distributed. We are growing every day. We doubled our views between last week and this week. We want to bring you live streaming content 24/7, 365. We know we need it in crypto. There's no CNBC. There's no Bloomberg covering crypto. It's us. It's us. It's with you, the community. It's people like Crypto Burb, Coach. We've got Coach K Crypto coming on. We've got Charles Edwards coming on. And Gerald, I see you in the chat. I'm going to bring you into the show. But before I bring you into the show, it looks like we're looking at Litecoin.
Yes, indeed. This is, I'm a classical guy, right? I love DeFi. I'm an amazing partnership and a relationship with.
That's the Litecoin community. There's a big community watching the show. They love it.
Jesus, crazy.
All righty. So what are we saying about Litecoin?
Yeah, Litecoin is even better than Ethereum, in my opinion, technically speaking, right? There's different fundamentals, of course, because Ethereum is actually, for more important, I say, for the DeFi space right now, which is the main core focus, because the technology is there, right? So the network congestion and all the, just speed of the transaction is going to be solved and improved. So which is going to allow the better financial services, stacking, like, all the liquidity provision, like lending and all the borrowings. This is all amazing. And I personally, I tell you what, I run a company, right, which is called the Burb Nest. And for this company, of course, I do have my own separate bank account because that's what my Polish government requires me to do. But at the same time, I'm using, just this Crypto.com card, the debit card, and I just use this, right? I moved 100% switched, to crypto-based things, and I love it, right? And it couldn't be even better. So what's more important about this, just this entire Ethereum part is the fundamentals are soaring, right? This is very strong. So for Litecoin.
Strong fundamentals for Litecoin. We are running out of time. So strong fundamentals for Litecoin. Tell me about the numbers. What are the charts saying here? I mean, if I'm looking at your chart correctly, you're talking about $140 as your next target.
Yeah, sort of, right? So we are like Ethereum, if we were to compare, Ethereum would already be after this rally, after this, and somewhere around here. This is where the Ethereum would currently be, right? If we were to sort of like, just bring some mention, in this very area, right? That's what you would see for sort of like Ethereum, but we are way more undervalued for Litecoin. So currently trading at $90, right? I would expect it most probably to complete at least the highest of their 2.5 year long accumulation at around 140, 150. And then when it actually breaks it, just like it showed in here, then by the technical analysis, you could expect that the major actually breakout, of this will bring the exact size, so which is from 20 backs all the way to 150, 140. So 100, you add the same distance on top of it, right? Which places you around 270. So this area, right? This area technically.
Very soon, technically, Charlie Lee wouldn't have sold at the top. I mean, he sold all his Litecoin at the very top. If I'm not mistaken, that was about $340, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I'm quite certain, he's well positioned.
Anyway. He's well positioned. All right, we got Gerald on the line. Gerald, are you still here? I know you've been waiting for a while. It looks like you want to talk to me or Crypto Burb. Are you with us?
Oh, yes.
Gerald.
How are you guys doing this
morning? Amazing. Gerald, what do you want to ask us, man? So good to have you on the show.
No, I totally agree with Crypto Burb's position. I was actually saying this in my private Telegram group about 2 weeks ago. I was telling people my technicals, I look at the hash power charts. So I've been looking at the hash power charts of Litecoin. I've been looking at the hash power charts of Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, and Bitcoin, of course. And they're all very bullish. If you just look at the hash power chart of Litecoin, from November 21st, it almost did a 2x in about 4 days. And its difficulty adjustments are much faster than Bitcoin. And that's what it gives it this ability to jump in price, and we can see the volume there as well. I predicted when Litecoin was about $70, I said it's going to jump to $100 in the next 3 weeks, and we're right about there. I think that Litecoin is definitely very undervalued. If you look at the hash power chart right now, it's at about, I think, 237 terahashes, and Ethereum's about 300 terahashes. So if we're comparing network power, I think Litecoin's very undervalued right now, and that's my personal opinion.
CryptoBird, what do you think? Do you agree? I see you nodding in agreement there. Are you also looking at the hash power charts, the strength of the network?
Yeah, generally, I'm a big fan of having, this 360-degree, just analysis, right? So when I use fundamental analysis for the base, because this is what creates a long-term directions for trends. Technical analysis, just serves as the self-fulfilling prophecy, but it still works. We make it work as people, right? So it still is responsible more for the short-term, just trend deviations. But then I just top it out with the on-chain analysis, right? So I usually watch, for example, on the sentiment, I go to the on-chain statistics in the exchanges, right? So I watch the exchange flow balance, so that it's pretty able to tell where the actual balance is in, when the whale deposits, right? Because when you expect some whale deposits on the exchanges, and then they came, just from some external, hard, like this called wallets, right? Hardware wallets. So you would expect some dumping to occur, right? Which is exactly what happened if you care to check, right? So yeah, we are seeing some distributive manner in this local movement for Bitcoin. But again, regarding the altcoin itself, right? If we actually go in here and check it, then you're going to get a very, very simple stuff. Just wait a second.
Alrighty, while he's calling up the charts, just a reminder, guys, if you want to join us in studio, like Gerald is here in studio with us, just hit the StreamYard link. It will allow you into the studio directly. And if you're watching us, we are getting record viewership numbers. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button, because it's you guys that are driving the views on the show, not me. I'm just here interviewing the guys. You guys are driving the numbers. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Also, we love your comments. We love your comments. You are the guys driving the show. This is about you guys driving the show. Please keep the comments coming. We'll try and get to each and every one of them, and try and get you guys all on the show. All right, let's look at this chart, and then we've got to move on, because I got Charles Edwards waiting for us, and also I've got a very, very, very big call from Coach Crypto. He's been on with us twice already, but he came out with a huge call today. If you want to know what that call is, it's coming up straight after this. All right, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, this is actually, this says, Litecoin, right? This is a Litecoin chart regarding the active addresses. So that the on-chain, activity per the creation of the active addresses is actually, just telling you to what extent the trend is sustainable, right? And we can see on average, if we apply some averaging here, so that you can just tell that, for example, if you apply some averages, and that the network activity per the creation of the daily active addresses is actually increasing on the average, right? Which means that it supports this entire price action upside movement. So this just gives me the confirmation from on-chain that we are stable in the uptrend.
Fundamentally, you're saying that there's more hash power going into Litecoin. You're saying that the number of active addresses is increasing. So fundamentally, it looks like Litecoin is very much somewhere to be.
Yeah. So it just aligns perfectly with the with the read from the technical analysis, right? What I would just tell and admit that I would expect 280. And listen, I gotta be honest. If Bitcoin breaks all-time highs, so this is like almost 100% certainty, right? Unless another like Martian attack happens, right? Or some different weird stuff like War of Third or something. Now you can never predict that, right? You can never predict that. But assuming that there is not going to be any big different, like a major crash, you would have 280, 300, just plus an all-time high, all Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, all of it just is yet to come, in my opinion.
So I must say, I wasn't a big buyer of Litecoin. I may have changed my mind. Gerald, so thank you so much for calling into the studio. CryptoBird, It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. We have to do it again because the lines are going crazy here. We can't accommodate everyone. We've already run well over our time. Before I let you go, though, I want to say that there's a big call happening here, and I want to hear your view. Today,
I appreciate it.
About 2 hours before the show, our friend Crypto K, or Coach K Crypto, sends us this chart, and he says, "Run, it's time."
It's time.
And it's time. It's time to buy Chainlink.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So first of all, Crypto Burp, do you watch Chainlink?
Yeah, I do watch Chainlink. I think this is actually one of the very good drivers and the vehicles for the entire crypto. So I do watch Chainlink.
Is it time to buy?
Well, I gotta be honest. I think based on my charts, again, not sure if I should bring it back for the screen sharing.
Well, let's Coach K show his chart. Just get your chart ready. All right, Coach K, what are we looking at here?
Well, basically, we're looking at a channel that Chainlink has pretty much been in since May of 2019. And every single time it's tapped off this level in this channel, it hasn't broken it yet. Every time we come to that level, we basically, on average, I think it's about 70 to 130, 200% of a pump when we tap off this level. Now, if you go on like a higher time frame, like on a 3-day chart, you can really see how accurate it really is. And could it break? Yes, but I'm really a believer that this is going to hold. We're in a bull market. We're very bullish. Chainlink kind of flew up, over in August. It kind of went a little bit further than people expected. Then it came back down, which is what I've been telling people from pretty much July and August. I said, it's going to probably come back down to this channel. It finally did after months of waiting. And, I'm a big believer that we're about to see this just break back up. It's had a really nice retrace. It's gone down, about 56, 57%. And it tried to break below the channel, but hammered off of it. Right now, it's sitting right in that channel, and I think we're gonna see this area be a very, very strong buy signal. Not only that, I'll give you some feedback from one of my friends who runs a fund. I called him up. I said, "Hey, man, look at this chart." And he said, "I'll call you right back." And I said, "What?" He's like, "I'll call you right back." Calls me back. He's like, "I just bought 6 figures of Link." I was like, "Really?" He's like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crypto, what do you think? You're looking at the same chart. What are you saying? Are you in agreement that Chainlink's about to go for this breakout? Is this what your analysis is saying? Do you want to pull your chart up onto the screen?
Yeah, 100%. It's very simple actually. It's very simple because what I have in here is the link against USD, right? A link against Bitcoin, and it is out of question that because of the Bitcoin dominance that was soaring, for the capital flowing to where the volatility was, the altcoin suffered against Bitcoin pair, but actually remained stable or increased actually heavily against the USD because of the Bitcoin increase. So long story short, we are in the very, very oversold area regarding the momentum, right? So Bitcoin sort of like, just the selling pressure against Bitcoin pair is in the final phase. So I would not really expect much dumping to occur. This is a massive retracement, which is 62%, which is also the Fibonacci kind of like level, right? 61.8 is the Fibonacci level. So golden ratio, yeah. So we could expect this, just this supernatural universal power to actually just give the enough support.
So are you guys Link Marines? I need to understand this. If I got 2 Link Marines here on the show with me.
I have lots of friends that are Link Marines. I would say I'm a chart Marine, I'm a Bitcoin Marine.
You can hear the Link Marines are going crazy. Chainlink is being spoken about. Guys, it's been amazing having you, Coach K. Keep us updated. If you ever have these charts that break out, this is what our community wants. Coach K, amazing to have you back on the show. We'll see you again.
Watch Bitcoin, everybody. Just by the way, remember I told you yesterday it was going to break out and probably go towards an above all-time high. ETH and Bitcoin right now, as we speak, are doing that. And
that's what I said. I said at the beginning of the show, 21,000 by the end of the weekend. Before I let you go, I made a lot of money on gold because you told me to hold my gold position.
Hold that gold, man.
Must I still hold it? It's now at 1840, 1845. My entry point was at around 1820, 1825, 100x leverage. What do you think
You're
now?
at 100. You're at 100x leverage. Oh, I did tell you it would probably come to that 21-day EMA, which was right around 1844, and it tapped right off that, and it looks kind of like we might have a shooting star at that level if it closes. So it might be time to jump back out. You know, I would look at potentially jumping back out depending on how this candle closes. So it could just reject it and then come back and break up to probably that level at 1862. Right where we have a Tenkin, a Kijin, a level. So it could pump to that level as well. But if you're at 100x and you want to secure some profit, you may want to put your stop, you know, probably somewhere close to your entry right now, just in case.
Yeah.
Or
Crypto Verb, what are you saying when it comes to gold? I know gold is one of the things that you were also looking at. Are you a buyer or a seller of gold at these levels?
Now, I'm questionably a buyer. You know, I'm for gold and for silver, both of them. I'm actually very long. You know, just said this is actually a very short-term setup. But if you let me to take it to the weekly chart, you know, the one that I watch, or the monthly even, then you would see how insanely important, you know, gold and silver has been. And out of these two, of course, you know, gold is more of these, I know, strategic importance to the banking industry and to the entire, I should say, control and well, the order in running the monetary policy by governments, right? While silver, because it's extremely low market, like, you know, as far as I know, like almost, you know, between 20 and 30% of the entire global, you know, just mining supply of silver, only this small amount is given for the investment, right? Which makes this market so volatile. And this is like this younger brother of gold, right? And what I know for sure is that we have seen this biggest, sort of like a biggest movement, right? Let me just get rid of all the drawings. We got this massive, big upside rally, you know, that is unquestionable breakout above something that was 7-year long accumulation period, right? So from the technical point of view, this is exactly what started the brand new bull market for silver, right? Which has just started, as I said. So you know, silver tends to follow gold. Gold has reached all-time high, of course, you know, with the recent. It's actually very interesting because you know, the investment banks are actually reported and just fined by U.S. courts for manipulating the gold price, which is, again, out of question. It was proven. Well, for silver, you know, despite the gold, you know, just had some downward fluctuations, I still think we would expect all-time highs as well, you know, because gold is reaching all-time highs.
Buy silver, buy gold. You're telling me not to close my position. My entry point was 18.
If it's 100x, so
yeah, if it's 100x, you better watch it twice. But
yeah,
but for the long term, I have not a single doubt. You know, I have my physical gold and silver buys, silver coins, bars, and everything. I'm not going to touch it most probably throughout the next 3-4 years, 5 years, perhaps.
All right, Crypto Burp, amazing having you on the show. We'll catch up with you again soon. I want to bring in our last guest. His name is Charles Edwards. But before I bring in Charles Edwards, before we get him on the show, we have a caller. Her name is DBevX2. DBevX2, welcome to Crypto Banter. Are you with us, Bev? Can you see us? Can you hear us? All right, maybe we'll get it back later. All right, Charles Edwards, amazing to have you on the show. Sorry for keeping you on hold for so long. It's just that we've been having so much fun here and we've been having so many tokens called here. Do you agree with our thesis that Bitcoin is about to break out?
Yes.
All right, where are we going with this?
Yeah, look, I don't. It's. Look, I'm on the bandwagon that the next 12 months are going to be huge, like they normally are post halving, and all the signs are lining up that this breakout against all-time highs is very similar to the prior ones. So it's, yeah, I can't give a precise number, but you know, I think 100,000 plus is definitely on the cards for the next 1 to 2 years.
Alrighty, and do you believe that the CNBC indicator, when CNBC says don't get caught up in the hype, that's when you buy, and when they tell you to buy, that's when you sell, right?
Yeah, definitely. I actually commented on that post on Twitter that was the best news of the day.
Yeah, I think the biggest news of the day, though, was this S&P Dow Jones indices to launch. I mean, they're making this into a very legitimate asset class.
In
In 2017, there were doubts about the legitimacy. 2020 or 2021 is going to be the explosion. All right, but
definitely.
I know that you're here to talk charts as well, right? You're going to show us some charts. You're going to tell us what you're trading. Do you want to share your screen while you're calling up your screen, ready to share screen? I want to remind the viewers last time today, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button now, because you guys are the ones driving the show. The more you hit the like button, the more you hit the subscribe button, the more we get distribution. And the more we get distribution, the more content we can bring you guys every single day. And now I'm excited to see this chart. What is this chart?
Well, I got to start here, don't I? Because this is the hash ribbon indicator. You must know this.
Of course. I mean, that was a big... I mean, this happens every how long when the hash ribbon indicator does this?
Well, it's normally about once a year. But it varies, right? So we've had like 4 in the last year, which is quite unusual. And coincidentally, we had one today. So yeah, so it's, as probably a lot of people know following me, it's kind of a measure for a long-term buy signal based on mining hash rates.
I'm going to stop you there because it looks like we have a
breaking news on Crypto Banter, where you break the news.
This article, it says that BlackRock CEO says that Bitcoin makes the US dollar less relevant and can evolve into a global market. I mean, that's huge news, especially coming from BlackRock. It just looks like all the signs are there and this thing is about to go mental. All right, let's bring your chart back. Sorry about that. We had that sent in from a user. Remember, guys, this is your station. This is where you bring the banter, you break the news. Keep sending us these things. All right, let's look at your chart. Let's look at the hash ribbon chart. Let's see what it's all about.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, it's basically tracking the health of the network from miners. So when miners are struggling, they're unprofitable, they are going to sell or start turning off their rigs or start mining something else. And that's when you get the hash rates drop. So that's tracked by these 2 moving averages here, the gray being the 2-month moving average of hash rate and the green be the 1 month. But when that starts to recover, it's usually a signal that the worst is over and the bottom's in, and it's an amazing time to buy. So historically, buying at that point, and when you also have positive price momentum, has yielded amazing results. In the just in the last year, it's been sort of 20 to 50% returns, and the last signal in July, we've doubled, more than doubled since then. This signal in particular is a little bit unique though, because of firstly, normally we wouldn't have one around here, but also it's been triggered by the movement of miners across China. So they've relocated from using hydropower, which is much more cost effective for them, and then going back to other alternative sources. So they've shut down their rigs temporarily. So I probably wouldn't give it as much weight as prior ones, in that there's probably a bit more downside risk potentially. But I still think
it's huge news. I mean, this is huge news. If every time this happens, Bitcoin goes on a hell of a run, I don't see why this time is going to be different.
Exactly. And you want to be careful with narratives in general. Like, you're better off just going by the stats that this is like had I think it's 11 out of 11 hit rate of awesome returns. So yeah, it's hard to fight it.
And I'm watching the prices now. Bitcoin is at 19,600. We've got Ethereum trading at 621. Litecoin is at $90. So things are happening on the market. Charles, any other charts that you're looking at?
Yeah, so obviously, like for me in my business, we're algo trading and we take all this stuff as inputs, but I'm not no longer anymore sort of trading manually on a day-to-day. So, but for me, the fundamentals, like, to be clear, they give a good picture of where things are going. They kind of give you a picture of where things are going the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks in particular. And when you have strong alignment of them and some technicals, it's also usually a great signal to buy or to start scaling out of positions. The picture is a little bit more mixed here than prior signals. Like, you would have seen me on Twitter in July, I was extremely bullish. Here, I'm a bit more cautious, but I still think, things are lining up that we're probably going to smash out a new all-time high within the next few months. So there's a lot going on in this chart. It's probably a bit of a answer, but I'll step through a few of these metrics if you like. So you've got the hash room buy, really positive. Dynamic NTV, it's kind of like the P ratio of transaction volume on chain. It's heating up a bit. So it's a little bit overvalued. It's now below the sort of the red line here. So it means we can still continue. And this sort of thing does happen in other sort of all-time high breakout regions. So it's nothing to be worried about. It's just more trying to identify when's the best time to buy versus sell. And we're kind of in the middle, but nearer to the buy zone, if you know what I mean, on a holistic perspective of where everything's at.
I know exactly what you mean. You're looking at Bitcoin. Do you ever watch Ethereum, or are you just looking at Bitcoin?
100% Bitcoin.
100%.
Sorry to disappoint.
All right, and you're saying that it's not a bad time to buy, but there could be better times to buy. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I think if you're going to hold for a year, you can't go wrong now. You can't. Like probably even a few months, you'll be fine. I think you should expect the possibility, even though it's probably less likely, of a 10 to 30% down draw in this region. But long term, it's a great signal. But it's not. It doesn't compare to what we had in July. Yeah. In bull markets recover quickly, and so if we do get that 30% down draw, because we're in such a bull market, it's going to get gobbled up. Like we saw on the 15%. That 15% drawdown didn't last 2 weeks, and that's because and the momentum is up. All right, Charles, we are completely out of time, but I do want to get you back here because I think that you've got a lot to share with us, and we didn't even get into the beginning of it. So I'll have my producers call you, and we'll set up again. It's been absolutely good. Thank you so much for coming on Crypto Trader. And just the last reminder, if you are watching this on YouTube, please, guys, you guys are driving the show. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button now. Share this with your friends. The more we can do this, the more we can get you guys real-time crypto information. Now, the reason why I started this was because I didn't have enough real-time information. It was nowhere. I can't keep reading Twitter. I can't keep going through 1,000 Telegram groups to get the news. We need to bring people on here. You need to be able to put your earphones in and to listen at your desk to real-time news brought to you by members of your community. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye to you until tomorrow. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Looking at all the biggest news, looking at everything that's happening on the crypto market, same time, same place, right here on YouTube. Please call in tomorrow, join the show. Let's have some fun. We'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.
That's the end of our live show. Thank you for calling in and tuning in. Head over to CryptoBanter.com now to access all past recordings and engage with other listeners. That's CryptoBanter.com.